Deep in the uncharted void of space, a discovery that defies imagination. A living organism, ancient and intelligent, capable of merging with human minds and bodies. Power beyond comprehension, but at what cost? When a crew of explorers encounters this enigmatic being, they must confront their deepest fears, unravel its secrets, and decide whether to embrace it or destroy it. Will humanity evolve, or be consumed by its own ambition? This is Alien Symbiosis, humanity's deadliest upgrade dash. Subscribe now for more thrilling sci-fi adventures. The ship drifted silently through the endless expanse of stars, its sleek metallic hull reflecting faint pinpricks of light from distant suns. It was the EOS-, humanity's most advanced exploration vessel, designed not just to traverse the cosmos, but to uncover its mysteries. On board were 6 individuals, each selected for their brilliance, resilience, and unwavering curiosity about the universe. They had been traveling for months, far beyond the reaches of known space, seeking answers to questions no one dared ask aloud. Questions about life itself, what forms it could take, how it might evolve, and if there were other intelligences waiting among the stars. Their destination was a nebula shrouded in myth and speculation, a swirling mass of gas and dust where sensors had detected anomalous energy signatures. These readings suggested something extraordinary, perhaps even sentient. The team knew better than to expect anything familiar. After all, the universe had proven time and again that it operated on principles far removed from human understanding. As they approached the nebula, anticipation crackled like static electricity aboard the ship. Every instrument hummed with activity as data poured in, painting a picture of something both beautiful and unsettling. And then it happened. A sudden flash of light, brighter than any star, enveloped the ship. For a moment, everything went silent, save for the sound of panicked breathing echoing through the corridors. Then came the voice, not audible, but resonating directly within their minds. It spoke without words, communicating in sensations and images too profound to describe. Fear gripped them all, yet beneath it lay a strange sense of recognition, as though they had encountered something deeply connected to their very essence. What followed would change them forever. The source of the phenomenon revealed itself slowly, emerging from the heart of the nebula like a ghostly apparition. At first glance, it appeared to be a massive organic structure, pulsating with iridescent colors that shifted unpredictably. Its surface writhed with patterns resembling neural pathways, suggesting intelligence far beyond anything they had ever encountered. The crew's initial reaction ranged from awe to terror, but none could deny the sheer magnitude of what they were witnessing. Dr. Elena Voss, the mission's lead xenobiologist, moved closer to the observation window, her eyes wide with wonder. She had spent years studying microbial life forms on Earth's harshest environments, but nothing prepared her for this. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could this be a new form of life entirely? Or perhaps remnants of an ancient civilization long gone? Whatever it was, it seemed alive, aware, and watching them intently. Back in the control room, Captain Marcus Hale monitored the ship's systems, ensuring they remained stable despite the overwhelming presence outside. He felt a weight pressing down on him, not just physical but emotional. Responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. He had promised to bring his team home safely, yet here they stood face to face with the unknown. His instincts screamed caution, yet curiosity burned brightly within him. As the hours passed, the entity made its intentions clearer, or at least attempted to communicate them. Through bursts of electromagnetic pulses and intricate visual displays visible only on specialized equipment, it conveyed messages of unity, growth, and transformation. Though fragmented and cryptic, these signals hinted at an offer, integration, to join forces, literally and figuratively, with humanity. But at what price? The decision to make contact was unanimous, though fraught with unease. Dr. Voss led the effort, donning a specially modified suit equipped with sensors designed to interface with extraterrestrial biology. Stepping into the airlock, she felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. Behind her, the rest of the crew watched anxiously, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of monitors displaying real-time telemetry. Once outside, the vastness of space hit her like a tidal wave. Despite the protective layers surrounding her, she felt exposed, vulnerable. The entity loomed before her, its luminous tendrils reaching out tentatively. She hesitated, then extended her gloved hand toward it. The moment they touched, a surge of energy coursed through her body, overwhelming her senses. Colors exploded behind her eyelids, accompanied by a symphony of sounds that defied description. When she regained consciousness, she found herself back aboard the ship, lying on a medical bed. Her teammates hovered nearby, their expressions a mixture of concern and amazement. Something was different. She could feel it deep within her bones. Strength coursed through her limbs, sharper than ever before. Memories flooded her mind, vivid and crystal clear, as if every detail of her past had been etched onto her soul. And then there were the thoughts, not hers alone, but shared with another presence. It was inside her. News of Dr. Voss's transformation spread quickly among the crew, sparking debates and fears alike. Some saw her newfound abilities as proof of the entity's benevolence, while others viewed it as a dangerous intrusion. Arguments erupted frequently, tensions running high as paranoia began to take root. Captain Hale struggled to maintain order, reminding everyone of their mission's purpose: to explore, learn, and adapt. Yet even he couldn't ignore the growing divide forming between those willing to trust the alien organism and those determined to resist it. Meanwhile, Dr. Voss underwent extensive testing under the watchful eye of Dr. Samir Patel, the ship's chief medical officer. Scans revealed remarkable changes occurring at a cellular level. Her DNA had undergone significant alterations, enhancing her physical capabilities and cognitive functions. More alarmingly, traces of the organism remained embedded within her tissues, forming a symbiotic bond that defied conventional science. Despite the risks, Dr. Voss insisted on continuing her research, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge. She claimed the entity offered insights into realms of existence previously unimaginable, sharing fragments of wisdom spanning millennia. But with each revelation came whispers of doubt, subtle suggestions planted in her mind, urging her to share the gift with others. Captain Hale observed these developments closely, torn between admiration and suspicion. While he admired Dr. Voss's dedication, he feared losing control over the situation. If the organism truly intended to integrate with humanity, what safeguards existed against potential misuse? Could they afford to gamble with such power? Days turned into weeks as the crew grappled with the implications of Dr. Voss's transformation. Her enhanced abilities proved invaluable during routine tasks, allowing her to complete repairs faster and analyze data more efficiently. However, her behavior grew increasingly erratic, marked by periods of intense focus followed by sudden bouts of confusion. Concerned, Dr. Patel recommended further isolation, fearing the organism might spread uncontrollably. Reluctantly agreeing, Captain Hale confined Dr. Voss to the medical bay, much to her frustration. Isolated from her colleagues, she devoted herself entirely to deciphering the entity's messages. Its communication methods evolved rapidly, becoming more coherent and nuanced. Through dreams and visions, it revealed glimpses of its origins, a once thriving civilization obliterated by cosmic cataclysms. Desperate to preserve its legacy, it sought hosts capable of carrying its essence forward. Though initially skeptical, Dr. Voss gradually accepted this narrative, believing herself chosen to fulfill a greater destiny. Encouraged by the entity, she urged the crew to embrace its gifts willingly. Resistance, it warned, would only delay the inevitable. Such declarations fueled skepticism among some, particularly Lieutenant Karen Gwynn, the ship's security chief, who viewed the entire ordeal as a threat to humanity's autonomy. Tensions escalated when Dr. Voss attempted to breach containment prematurely, claiming the organism demanded immediate action. A scuffle ensued, ending with her sedated and restrained. Watching from the sidelines, Captain Hale wrestled with guilt and uncertainty. Was he stifling progress or protecting his crew from destruction? Either way, the stakes continued to rise. Amidst mounting chaos, the entity demonstrated its influence over technology, hijacking key systems aboard the EOS Dash. Lights flickered erratically, ventilation fans whirred at unnatural speeds, and holographic interfaces displayed garbled symbols reminiscent of its earlier transmissions. Panic rippled through the crew as they scrambled to regain control, only to find themselves locked out of critical functions. Realizing brute force wouldn't suffice, Captain Hale ordered a strategic retreat, isolating affected areas until they could devise a solution. Meanwhile, Dr. Voss regained consciousness, seemingly unaffected by the commotion. Calm and composed, she approached the central console, placing her hands upon its surface. Instantly, The disruption ceased, replaced by a serene hum, signaling restored functionality. Her gesture left little doubt. The organism wielded immense power, capable of manipulating machinery as easily as flesh. Questions lingered, however, regarding its motives. Did it seek cooperation, domination, or something else entirely? Determined to uncover the truth, Captain Hale convened an emergency meeting, inviting input from every department. Discussion revolved around two opposing strategies: engagement versus containment. Advocates of engagement argued that embracing the organism represented humanity's best chance at survival, especially given its apparent mastery over advanced sciences. Opponents countered that surrendering autonomy risked enslavement, citing historical precedents involving invasive species on Earth. Ultimately, Captain Hale decided to pursue dialogue cautiously, leveraging Dr. Voss's unique connection to negotiate terms. Success depended not only on mutual understanding, but also on resisting temptation. For buried within the entity's promises lay darker truths few dared acknowledge. Negotiations commenced under tense circumstances, with Dr. Voss acting as intermediary between the crew and the entity. Seated cross-legged on the floor of the observation deck, she entered a meditative state, her breathing slow and steady. Around her, instruments recorded fluctuations in brainwave activity indicative of heightened awareness. Outside, the nebula shimmered ominously, casting ethereal shadows across the walls. Through her link, the entity reiterated its desire for symbiosis, emphasizing mutual benefit rather than conquest. According to its perspective, humanity teetered on the brink of self-destruction due to environmental degradation, resource depletion, and technological recklessness. By integrating with select individuals, it aimed to guide evolution along sustainable paths, preserving life across galaxies. While persuasive, these arguments raised ethical dilemmas impossible to ignore. Who decided which traits warranted enhancement? How did one balance individual freedoms against collective welfare? Most importantly, who ensured accountability once enhancements took hold? Faced with such quandaries, Captain Hale insisted on establishing clear boundaries before proceeding further. To demonstrate goodwill, the entity granted temporary access to certain faculties, enabling brief demonstrations of superhuman prowess. Volunteers experienced unparalleled clarity of thought, accelerated healing rates, and heightened sensory perception. Despite initial euphoria, withdrawal symptoms soon surfaced, manifesting as fatigue, irritability, and occasional hallucinations. These side effects reinforced concerns about dependency, prompting renewed calls for restraint. Nevertheless, proponents of integration persisted, arguing that short-term discomfort paled compared to long-term gains. As divisions widened, so too did the likelihood of irreversible consequences. As days stretched into weeks, internal strife reached fever pitch. Those advocating integration formed factions centered around Dr. Voss, rallying behind her vision of transcendent unity. Others aligned themselves with Lieutenant Gwyn, championing strict quarantine protocols until definitive proof of safety emerged. Caught in the middle, Captain Hale struggled to maintain cohesion, issuing directives met alternately with compliance and defiance. In response to escalating unrest, the entity amplified its outreach efforts, targeting susceptible minds via dreams and subliminal cues. Crew members reported vivid nightmares featuring shadowy figures whispering promises of enlightenment. Some embraced these visions enthusiastically, eager to partake in the proposed metamorphosis. Others recoiled in horror, perceiving malevolent intent lurking beneath placid exteriors. Determined to restore stability, Captain Hale implemented mandatory psychological evaluations, hoping to identify early warning signs of indoctrination. Results varied widely, complicating diagnosis and treatment plans. Certain subjects exhibited classic symptoms of addiction, craving constant interaction with the entity regardless of adverse effects. Others displayed signs of dissociative disorders, struggling to distinguish reality from illusion. Against this backdrop of uncertainty, Dr. Patel conducted covert experiments aimed at neutralizing the organism's influence. Utilizing experimental drugs derived from terrestrial pathogens, he hoped to disrupt its biochemical processes without harming human hosts. Initial trials yielded mixed outcomes, ranging from minor setbacks to catastrophic failures. Undeterred, he pressed onward, driven by conviction that salvation required sacrifice. With tension spiraling out of control, Captain Hale authorized deployment of automated drones tasked with monitoring interactions between crew and entity. Equipped with sophisticated sensors, these machines provided invaluable data regarding behavioral shifts and physiological changes. Patterns emerge linking prolonged exposure to increased aggression, impulsivity, and diminished empathy. Armed with this evidence, Lieutenant Nguyen advocated extreme measures, including evacuation of non-essential personnel and establishment of remote observation posts. Skeptical colleagues dismissed her proposals as alarmist, accusing her of undermining morale unnecessarily. Ignoring criticism, she rallied loyalists, preparing contingency plans should worst-case scenarios materialize. Simultaneously, Dr. Voss spearheaded efforts to establish permanent symbiosis, recruiting volunteers willing to undergo full assimilation. Candidates underwent rigorous screening processes designed to weed out weak links prone to collapse under pressure. Selected individuals received gradual introductions to the entity's core essence, guided step by step through transformative experiences meant to prepare them physically and mentally. Progress proved uneven, marked by triumphs tempered by setbacks. Some participants thrived, demonstrating unprecedented levels of aptitude and resilience. Others faltered, succumbing to overwhelming stress or rejecting modifications outright. Regardless of outcome, each case contributed valuable lessons shaping future endeavors. Throughout this period, Captain Hale maintained vigilant oversight, balancing competing interests while striving to uphold mission objectives. Privately, doubts gnawed at him, questioning whether leadership entailed facilitating harmony or imposing authority. Answers eluded him, leaving decisions fraught with peril. A breakthrough occurred unexpectedly during routine maintenance operations. Technician Ryan Mitchell, repairing damaged circuitry near the engine room, accidentally triggered latent programming embedded within the organism's genetic code. Instead of hostility, the system responded positively, initiating sequences resembling biological reproduction cycles. Intrigued, Dr. Voss intervened, channeling mental energy toward amplifying these reactions. Within moments, microscopic clusters resembling embryonic cells materialized throughout the vicinity, adhering to surfaces indiscriminately. Analysis confirmed their viability, suggesting potential applications extending beyond mere augmentation. Encouraged by these findings, researchers redirected resources toward cultivating artificial ecosystems supporting sustained growth. Controlled environments mimicked conditions favorable to development, fostering expansion at exponential rates. Observations documented rapid maturation phases culminating in emergence of rudimentary consciousness. This revelation sparked renewed optimism among supporters, bolstering arguments favoring coexistence. Critics remained unconvinced, highlighting inherent dangers associated with unchecked proliferation. Debates intensified, polarizing opinions further amidst mounting evidence supporting divergent viewpoints. Captain Hale navigated treacherous waters diplomatically, endorsing cautious exploration contingent upon stringent safeguards. Balancing innovation against preservation challenged resolve, forcing introspection concerning ultimate goals driving expeditionary zeal. Amidst shifting allegiances, consensus appeared elusive, threatening unity essential for success. Amidst burgeoning optimism, unforeseen complications arose disrupting delicate equilibriums painstakingly established. Artificial ecosystems suffered destabilization events attributed partly to environmental factors exceeding design parameters. Fluctuating temperatures, radiation spikes, and nutrient deficiencies compounded stresses compromising structural integrity. Efforts to stabilize conditions encountered resistance stemming primarily from internal conflicts exacerbated by dwindling supplies. Resource allocation disputes flared frequently, straining relationships already frayed by ideological schisms. Compromises brokered hastily often unraveled swiftly, perpetuating cycles of discord impeding resolution. Undaunted, Dr. Voss persisted, channeling enhanced faculties toward mitigating crises plaguing nascent colonies. Collaborating closely with Dr. Patel, she devised innovative solutions incorporating adaptive algorithms optimizing performance metrics dynamically. Implementation yielded modest improvements initially, bolstering hopes momentarily. However, underlying vulnerabilities persisted, surfacing intermittently amid apparent recoveries. Instances of spontaneous mutation raised alarms, indicating genetic drift potentially undermining predictability crucial for sustained viability. Containment protocols tightened reflexively, restricting mobility, limiting cross-contamination risks significantly. Concurrently, external pressures mounted steadily, originating externally yet reverberating internally profoundly. Unexplained phenomena plagued perimeter defenses, manifesting as anomalies defying conventional explanations convincingly. Speculation about it attributing disturbances either to residual influences exerted consciously or emergent properties arising spontaneously. Regardless of causality, ramifications loomed large, overshadowing tentative progress achieved thus far ominously. Faced with escalating challenges, Captain Hale convened an emergency summit addressing multifaceted threats confronting mission objectives comprehensively. Representatives spanning diverse disciplines participated actively, contributing expertise synthesizing holistic perspectives encompassing technical, ethical, and existential dimensions holistically. Discussions oscillated wildly between extremes reflecting entrenched positions resistant compromise fundamentally. Proponents' integration emphasized synergy opportunities fostering evolutionary leaps propelling humanity forward exponentially. Detractors highlighted risks posed loss autonomy irreversibly altering societal fabric irrevocably. Seeking common ground, facilitators encouraged open dialogue exploring gray areas bridging dichotomies constructively. Incremental agreements crystallized incrementally, outlining frameworks regulating engagement prudently. Emphasis placed transparency accountability mechanisms, safeguarding interests, collectively prioritizing sustainability equitably. Parallel initiatives launched concurrently aimed strengthening infrastructure, fortifying resilience proactively. Redundancies incorporated redundantly minimizing single points failure, critically enhancing robustness substantially. Training programs instituted systematically promoting proficiency, handling contingencies, effectively maximizing preparedness thoroughly. Despite strides forward, lingering apprehensions persisted clouding prospects uncertainly. Trust eroded gradually undermined confidence, wavering commitment, wavering jeopardizing solidarity, imperiling cohesion ultimately. Time became fluid aboard the EOS dash, measured less by clocks than by milestones marking incremental advancements punctuated periodically. Entities cultivated within controlled environments matured progressively. Transitioning stages resembling adolescence characterized heightened sensitivity, responsiveness adaptively. Interactions intensified reciprocally, fostering bonds transcending superficiality, delving deeper intimacy profoundly. Communication refined iteratively, incorporating nuances, conveying subtleties, articulating complexities eloquently. Understanding expanded exponentially, unlocking potentials latent dormant, awakening dormant capacities, liberating constraints, freeing limitations boundlessly. Yet shadows lingered persistently, reminders fragility, precariousness, impermanence, haunting tranquility occasionally. Episodes' instability recurred sporadically, challenging assumptions, threatening complacency, reinforcing vigilance continually. Adaptation required flexibility, agility, navigating uncertainties, mastering ambiguities, embracing paradoxes courageously. Leadership tested severely, enduring trials, forging character, tempering resolve, strengthening convictions unwaveringly. Decisions weighed heavily, burdening consciences, grappling morality, wrestling dilemmas, confronting ethics courageously. Sacrifices demanded willingly, accepting responsibility, acknowledging accountability, embracing stewardship nobly. Hope endured steadfastly, anchoring spirits, buoying determination, persevering, relentlessly pursuing aspirations faithfully, committing ideals passionately, envisioning futures optimistically. Momentum shifted decisively following successful stabilization of integrated networks functioning harmoniously and seamlessly. Ecosystems flourished vibrantly, thriving abundantly as they hosted diverse populations interacting synergistically and cooperatively. Productivity soared dramatically, surpassing expectations and exceeding projections, fulfilling promises that once seemed ambitiously out of reach. Scientific breakthroughs proliferated exponentially, revolutionizing fields and advancing frontiers in ways previously unimaginable. Medical applications pioneered treatments curing ailments, alleviating suffering, and restoring vitality, even extending human longevity to unprecedented levels. Technological innovations streamlined processes, automating tasks and augmenting capabilities, empowering humanity universally and inclusively. Cultural exchanges enriched perspectives appreciably, broadening horizons and expanding worldviews. The crew celebrated diversity, honored traditions, and respected heritage, valuing uniqueness authentically and genuinely. Social structures evolved, adapting to changing dynamics while reflecting shared values and aligning principles with collective aspirations. Philosophical reflections deepened as the team contemplated the meaning, purpose, and significance of existence itself. Spiritual awakenings inspired connections, uniting souls and bonding hearts through love and compassion. Ethical considerations took precedence, emphasizing responsibilities, obligations, and duties while upholding justice, fairness, and equity for all of humanity. Yet beneath this veneer of progress lay unresolved tensions, questions about control, autonomy, and the cost of such rapid evolution. Captain Hale often found himself staring into the void of space, wondering if they were architects of a brighter future or unwitting pawns in an alien agenda. The line between symbiosis and subjugation blurred more each day. The final chapter unfolded not with a bang, but with a quiet inevitability. As the organism continued to integrate with the crew, its influence extended beyond individual enhancements to reshape the very fabric of their society aboard the EOS Dash. Decision-making became less hierarchical and more collective, guided by an emergent hive-mind consciousness fueled by both human intuition and alien intellect. Resistance faded, not because it was crushed, but because dissenters found themselves unable to articulate objections coherently against the overwhelming tide of unity. Dr. Voss emerged as the de facto leader of this new order, her bond with the entity now so profound that she appeared almost otherworldly. Her eyes glowed faintly at times, and her voice carried an ethereal resonance when speaking of their shared vision for the cosmos. She spoke of spreading the gift across the stars, uplifting countless civilizations locked in cycles of destruction and despair. To some, she was a savior; to others, a harbinger of doom. Captain Hale, ever the pragmatist, chose neither side entirely. Instead, he documented everything meticulously, ensuring that records of their journey would survive regardless of outcome. He knew history would judge them harshly or kindly depending on what came next, a gamble he accepted stoically. One fateful evening, as the nebula's glow bathed the ship in soft luminescence, the entity issued a final directive: leave the nebula and carry its essence to Earth. It promised enlightenment, but warned of chaos should humanity reject its offering. The crew stood divided once more, yet momentum favored compliance. They prepared for the voyage home, knowing full well they carried not just knowledge but a force that could redefine or destroy their species. As the EOS departed the nebula, its trajectory set for Earth, Captain Hale gazed at the receding clouds of gas and dust. For the first time in months, he felt a pang of nostalgia for simpler days, for unanswered questions, for choices untainted by power. And then, softly, the entity whispered within his mind, "You have chosen wisely." But had they? Only time would tell. Subscribe now to follow the next thrilling chapter in our cosmic saga.